Hello everyone. Now, let's talk, shall we? We got a bunch of things to go over today. Okay? We got a bunch of things to go over today. Now, the first thing that I want to go over is... This sounds like the little chorus I be doing. Do me a favor and start stacking your materials. Okay? Start future-proofing. Start future-proofing. Start stacking up on your material for future content. Okay? Now, the reason why I say this is because for those who don't really like to grind much, if you stack up on your material, you won't really have a hard time tackling new content. Or you'll at least be, let's say, halfway prepped or anything. And some people who whale and stuff, if you stack up on your material, then you won't really have to spend more money. You'll have your stuff already there. So please start stacking up on your material. Start stacking up on P&A kits for the new P&A. Start stacking up on TSPs or Transcendental Elixirs for just in case you need the Transcend gear. Start stacking up on your materials in case you need materials required to craft them. Stack up on old material even. They might come in handy for new content. For example, the bugs. Like, I know my bugs are not really looking good because I recently spent on, I recently geared up Chi Chi Mimi. I recently got her Speed Star and stuff, but like, you know, stuff like this. Start stacking up on your materials. So that way, when you tackle new content, you won't really be having much of a hard time. But, if you don't mind grinding the material or, you know, taking your time or being slow on content so that way you won't get bored, that's okay. But if you're someone who gets bored easily and don't really finish much on shit, you should probably start stacking up on content. That means you need to start grinding. I know you don't want to grind. Some of y'all have potato laptops. It's okay. But you should really start stacking up on your shit. Now, another thing I want to talk about. Can we talk about Asmo Raid and Mech Raid? Again. Yes. We're going to talk about it again. Again. Asmodeus Raid, and Mech Raid. Those raids require teamwork. Everyone has to do their part. If one person don't do their part, the whole party is going to suffer. I kid you not. That's why it's very important that everybody does their part. And I'm going to say this one more time. Everybody needs to do their part in Mech Raid and Asmodeus Raid. Now, something that I want to warn you about. I have to warn you guys. Otherwise, if I don't warn y'all, you're going to suffer. Please bear with me when I say this. I have to warn you. Asmodeus Raid is a raid that's prepping you for Mech Raid. When you go in Asmodeus Raid, think about it. Have that in mind. Asmodeus Raid is prepping you for Mech Raid. Mech Raid heavily requires teamwork. Otherwise, if you fuck up on your part, you're going to end up killing the whole party. You have to learn the mechanics for Asmodeus and Mech Raid. Asmodeus is literally, at this time, Asmodeus is literally practice raid before Mech Raid. In Mech Raid, if one of your party members fuck up or don't dodge or anything, they're going to get the whole party killed. Or one shot even. So everybody has to start learning the mechanics. It's very important. Solo if you have to. If you have enough TCP and you feel like you can solo, solo the raids even to try to learn how to do stuff. You have to learn the mechanics, and as soon as possible. Because if we all go in mech raid and say somebody don't know how to do the mechanics, you're going to get your whole party killed. You guys have to start practicing the mechanics. You guys have to start learning the mechanics now. Again, Asmodeus raid and Baldi raid, because the raid boss in mech raid is a bald ass person. They require teamwork. Breaking shields in Asmodeus raid requires teamwork. If you don't help with breaking the shield, then you're going to get your whole party killed. You have to start learning the mechanics. You have to take the mechanics seriously. Everyone has to put in work. Trust me, if you do, you will feel much more satisfied. Raids will be much more better. I promise you. It all starts with you. For those who don't know the mechanics, start learning the mechanics. Start looking at videos and stuff, okay? And again, on the first point, start stacking your materials. If you want to really be ready for future content, you have to start stacking up on materials. You must. Especially if you're someone who has a hard time or doesn't have much motivation. At least stack up on materials. So that way, you won't really have much of a hard time when it comes to like future content. So start stacking up on your materials, okay? Start grinding more. If you're someone who always runs out of money, keep grinding. You have to... It's okay if you can't get on every day. That's okay. Not everybody can get on every day. But the days when you get on, try to grind at least about 50 dungeons. Do at least about 50 dungeons per day. If you're very lazy or whatever, at least try to do about 50 dungeons or 40 even. So that way you can have some money in your pocket or credits in your inventory. So say if you're someone who likes to buy a lot, but you're always going broke and you're always having to ask somebody for stuff. This will be helpful for you. Try to grind. And if you're too lazy to grind, at least try to do like 50 dungeons per day. The dungeons that we have are not really that hard. And if you're low TCP, and you don't have anybody, well, you're gonna have to learn how to solo. Everybody should at least know how to solo. Because closers, despite the fact that we have Planar Gate and Raid, you still need to know how to solo or learn how to solo. You still should try to solo stuff. And sometimes when you solo stuff, you learn stuff better. So yes, get into the habit of soloing or trying to solo stuff, because then you can learn the mechanics better. So that way, when you get into a party with other people, you won't be that person who's being a burden. You won't be that person who's getting yelled at for getting stuff wrong. Learn how to solo. You will learn you can learn the mechanics that way too. Okay? And one last thing that I want to say. This goes back to something that I said in the last one. If you're in a crew and you keep asking for carries and nobody's helping you and no one's helping you carry you, you should leave that crew. I know that got overlooked last time because last time I sounded like I was tired of everybody's shit. But if you're in a crew and nobody's answering to your calls for carries and stuff, you should think about leaving that crew and look for a better crew. And if you want to stay in that crew, then you should learn how to solo. Because I know a lot of y'all, all y'all are still in y'all crews, despite me saying if your crew don't give a fuck about you, then leave that crew. But if you're going to stay in that crew, then you need to learn how to carry your own weight. You got to learn how to solo for yourself. Asmo Raid is an exception. Asmo Raid, Tiamat content is an exception. But everything else, you can try to learn how to solo it yourself so that way you won't be a burden to anyone. So, good luck. That's my possibly last piece of advice to give you guys as we close out 2021. I hope everybody is having a good month, December. I know I had a rocky one, but slowly recovering. I hope everybody has a good end of the year. Nobody gets too stressed, and have a good day.